I've never told you, but one of my favorite types of guests is young people, specifically young leaders who've been transformed by the gospel, who love people and have made it their life's ambition to say yes to whatever God asks them to do. Tonight, you'll meet a young student leader who fits the description, so don't go away. This fall, when students return to campus at Messiah University, a Christian liberal arts college right here in Pennsylvania, one of the bright, joyful students who will greet them is Tyree Cowan. He's an accounting major and Messiah's new student body president. When you meet Tyree, he's the kind of young man who appears to have it all together. Well-spoken, a good listener, carries himself with a certain kind of dignity. But it wasn't a given that he'd be on the path to leadership, much less at a Christian university. So Tyree, welcome to State of Independence. There's so much to talk about, and I want to talk about it with you, and we've got limited time, but I want to start with the biggest question. How, where, and when did Jesus find you? And what's your grace story?
Yeah, first I just want to say I appreciate you for having me on. It's an honor to be able to talk here and share my story, share my perspective. So thank you. And secondly, my grace story, my come to Jesus moment, or Jesus finding me and rescuing me is what I would like to say. Is a long story, real long story, but in a short amount of time. I was saved about summer of 2020. I was seeking, I was lost. I graduated from high school during COVID, this pandemic time. And I just had time to just figure out who I was. I was trying to find my identity. And through me seeking out in different areas and of truths of this world, Jesus rescued me in the midst of my lostness, where I didn't have anywhere else to go. I didn't have anyone else to trust in but him. And when he revealed himself unto me, I went full tilt and never looked back.
That's great. You're from Harrisburg, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You're right. State capital, which is nice. And now when you finished high school, were you automatically headed to Messiah, or where were you headed after high school?
Yeah, so after high school, again, it was COVID. I graduated the COVID year. My year ended short. So I had time to just step back and figure out what I wanted to do. And I wasn't saved at this time. So that the first summer, the first year off, I worked a lot. I was seeking, I was reading different books about spirituality and all sorts of kind of that stuff. And then the second year is when I was saved, right? That following year, I was saved. That summer, I worked at my church that summer, and then worked at my church again at a learning center throughout the school year. And that's when I had mentorship. That's when I had guidance. My pastor kind of just discipled me and imparted so much wisdom, knowledge, and experience into me, where I was able to just take that with me and apply it to Messiah now. So I applied to Messiah that following school year. Just a complete 360. If you'd have saw me 2 years before that, I didn't see myself anywhere. So to be able to be at Messiah that following year was just a blessing.
Yeah. And not only are you at Messiah, but now you've been elected student body president, which is a real honor because it means that your peers think enough of you to ask you to be their leader. That's a real honor. That's a real honor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Did you have to run for that to be student body president?
Yes, it was an uncontested election.
Really?
So it was uncontested, and I wasn't initially going to do it. I was the president of the Black Student Union. I was going to stick to that route, and then no one else applied. No one else applied for that student body position, and I reflect on that moment where, like in Isaiah, it talks about where when God was looking for somebody to step up and lead, and he stepped up in that moment. Here, God, here I am. So I took that opportunity and decided to serve in that capacity and give back to Messiah as much as it has given to me. So uncontested, and I think God kind of just he made it happen for me, and I'm just grateful to be able to serve Messiah in that capacity.
Yeah. Was there anything special that caused you to begin searching in the first place? I know that you talked on Morning Light about tarot cards and crystals and all these things, I guess, that you were using to try to figure out. Like, was there something that caused you? It's wonderful that you were able to have that kind of introspection where you said to yourself, you know what? I don't know where I'm headed, and I need to be headed someplace. But was there anything that caused that, or was it just you thinking to yourself, man, I don't know where I'm headed? Or tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I graduated, my sister, I didn't read too much in school. I read the books that I needed to read. I just did what I needed to do. But when I graduated, my sister gave me this book. It was about black men. It was, I believe, the title was like "Black Men, Obsolete and Dangerous." And when I read that book, my mind opened up. My mind was just blown from the information that was withheld from me. Being just growing up, being an African American man, as I read this book, I'm starting to see names and figures and just experiences that kind of speak to my identity, to speak to who I am. So when I read that book, I was like, I need to. I want to know the truth. I want to know how the world works. I want to know who I am. So that opened up the door to seeking more about me, more about the world, and through that, that's when I kind of got into the horoscope era and trying to figure out, just trying to find me through that, and that got me deeper. And I think the devil, he doesn't show himself as the devil, right? He is appealing at first. It's nice and sweet and kind, and I think that spirituality journey was a journey towards truth, a journey towards love and peace, which showed me that this is something I want to do. This is something I'm looking forward to getting into. And at the end of that route, I found out that that's not at all what it was. And Jesus revealed that unto me. And I would say it was only by his grace that it was revealed unto me. I take no credit for that at all. If it wasn't for him, I would be out of my mind right now. So definitely a slow journey of continually, I'm gonna just read this horoscope this day, and I wake up reading it again. I'm watching YouTube videos about people talking about spirituality and just getting like out of body experiences, and it was attractive to me because it was new information, and I believe that this was withheld from me. I didn't grow up too much in the church, so I didn't know the counter argument to that. I was just wanting to know what the truth was. I used to watch tarot card readings on YouTube, and eventually I went and got myself my own. And I think that at that moment, I was getting a little too deep in. And then about a week later, God rescued me from that. I was in the tarot cards. I got the crystals and was doing rituals with that, and it was. As I look back at it in retrospect, I can't believe I put my faith into something like that. But it also gives me grace and humility and patience for those that are also seeking that route and seeking other elements of truth. Where if anybody would have came to me and told me Jesus, 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 I would have rejected it. I would have rejected it instead of someone being patient with me and helping me process what I'm thinking, helping me process what I'm looking for, actually. So God has showed me that understanding. He showed me the wickedness and the evilness of what that tarot card and New Age spirituality can lead to, which is why I'm so devoted into just preaching the truth and understanding how important it is in a world full of lies, in a world full of deceit, how impactful and essential the truth is to be spoken. So yeah, I'm still learning and still growing, but that I would say before that I wasn't living, and as soon as God revealed Himself to me, I saw the world in with colors. I saw the world. It was black and white before that. Now I see it full, and I can think clearly. I can talk clearly. I won't allow other people to influence me as much. I can critically analyze these conversations and debates, and it's only by the grace of God that I'm able to do so. So
Yeah.
I'm just grateful to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're sharing your story because there are people watching right now, and there'll be people later on who watch this on YouTube. They might just be searching and they might come across this, and they're going to say, "Wow, that Tyree's experience is mine. I'm exactly where I'm right now where he was." But he didn't come to the conclusion that I came to. He found Jesus, and the question becomes so you're doing the tarot cards and the crystals, and you're trying to figure stuff out about, I guess, your life and how it might be, or how you can be a better human being, or get to heaven, or whatever it was you were trying to find. And instead you find Jesus. Do you go to church? Did it happen in a church? Did you intentionally go to a church service and hear the gospel preached, or were you just opening up the Bible yourself and reading it, or did somebody just casually talk to you and tell you about Jesus, or tell me about that?
Yeah, so it was kind of an episode in the moment. If I was to call my family in or cousins, they'll say that they can relive that experience again. But I was out of my mind. I was lost. I was really confused, and it's hard to really put into words what I was going through. But in that season, I was home and I kind of just laid down on my floor and just said I'm dead after like me losing my mind, and it just crazy. I felt like I had nothing else to live for anymore, and I just told my family I'm dead, and I got back up, and there was the burden of trying to carry this world, to save the world, was off of me, and I still didn't choose Christ at the moment. So at this moment, I didn't care about what I did or what other people did. I was just living freely, and was not afraid of death anymore. And I think that following week, my pastor called me, which is my cousin as well. So I appreciate that. He called me, or sorry, let me go back. My father came to speak to me the next day, and he came in and was sharing some stories that he never shared with me before, and kind of just told me the only person that got him out of what he was in was God. And I was just crying, and he eventually left. And this is I went to my grandmom's room. 2 minutes after, I asked her for a Bible. I came back to my room and I prayed, probably the first time since children's church. And I prayed for every single sin I could think of, going back from elementary, middle, and high school. Every sin I could think of, I asked for forgiveness. And I got up, and I still didn't know God. I still didn't understand who Jesus was. And then that following week, my pastor called me and was just talking to me, and I'm sharing my story. And he just told me, like, there's no halfway in the church. You can't be inside, on the fence or straddling. And I told him, I have nothing else. I have nowhere else to go. I've tried every other option. I looked into Islam a little bit. I looked into spirituality and these different religions, not deep enough to really truly understand their experience, but I sought those routes. And he told me that you can't be halfway in. I said, I have nothing else. I have nowhere else to go. And I think that moment was my declaration of faith. I believe when God really gave me his spirit, and ushered me to go get closer to him. And so that following Sunday, I arrived at church bawling my eyes out on my way there. As I approached the church in my car, I'm driving by myself, and as I think about it, I can get a little emotional. But I'm driving, and I just bawling my eyes out. And it was a peace. It was a piece of a peaceful cry, knowing that this is what I was looking for as I'm driving. It was like I was coming home. This is, as I was seeking throughout these years, I found it. I finally found what I was looking for, and it's just been a peace ever since then. It's not easy, but he's definitely redirected my thought, my life, everything I've done. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's amazing. You probably would never, I mean, if we went back 5 years, you probably wouldn't have guessed that, like in the year 2025, you'd be the upcoming student body president at Messiah. You'd be at a Christian college. You'd be the student body president. You'd be on TV talking about your life
yeah,
and
yeah.
about your experience. I mean, but it's amazing what God can do
Yes, sir.
with any of us. That he can find us and just transform us. And look at what God has done he's taken you from somebody who just said basically, I'm through, I'm done,
Yeah.
I'm lost, I don't, and you're found, and
Yes.
and your life is a blessing, and you are an encouragement to the people around you because of who it is you serve and whose spirit is inside of you.
Amen.
And what a blessing, what a blessing. And now you're pretty active at the church too now, I understand. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. I lead a youth ministry every Friday, wherever I'm needed. I think that the heart of service, I believe, opens up doors where you're willing to serve in any capacity, whether it be sweeping up the church, vacuuming, cleaning. And I started off at that. I started off vacuuming the church, and I'll vacuum it to this day if it needs done. So I think the heart of service opened up those doors for me I just want to help. I just want to serve people. I want to give back to those that have given to me, or give back to those that haven't been given the blessing to receive any help or support. So
Yeah, yeah. Now tell me about your family. What was your life like growing up?
yeah. So again, I think when I was saved, everything came into realization. So before I was just a kid. I don't think I internalized a lot. I internalized a lot of my feelings. So to share that I'm still working on what my childhood actually was like, because it was I just internalized all my feelings. But
Yeah.
I grew up, I played sports. My dad had us in sports. I played soccer, baseball, every single sport I could, just to keep me busy and to keep me active. And I appreciated it. I think it taught me a lot while my dad was in my life. And then my mom and dad separated when I was in third grade, and I moved in with my grandmom. And I think ever since then, it was kind of just I was just hanging around my friends, hanging around my cousins, just a kid really. I didn't cry too much. I didn't think too much about anything. I didn't think about things that are above, above this world. It was me just day in and day out, just going to school. I don't, yeah, it's really not too much. I appreciated my childhood, and I think I had a great community around me that supported me and just gave me a good structure, good balance where I could have went completely left, but I knew to a certain extent, and even by that's God's grace in that moment as well, where I could have done things that would have led me up in jail or led me up in places that I shouldn't have been. But the community that I was surrounded by, aunts and uncles and cousins and family, we have a big family. My grandfather has 8 siblings, so lots of aunts and uncles that were in the church that were probably praying for me as well as I was going through that. But yeah, just a normal childhood. I played basketball and football in high school, and then just the
You playing sports at Messiah?
no. I gave that up a little. I played rec a little bit, pick up basketball, but I decided to let that one go.
Yeah, I hear you.
Excuse me.
I hear you. Well, it's the experiences that we have in life, including the ones that many of the experiences we have, we can't control. We can't do anything about them. Like the families to whom we're born, whether our parents stay together or not, whether we have brothers or sisters, we don't have any control over any of that stuff. But God is able to use all of it for His glory and purpose, and including the hard times. The hard times and what may have been hard about growing up for you or any of us. God can use that and for His purpose and glory, and your life already is a testimony, because the life you've lived already and what you're doing now speaks even stronger than words. You could sit somebody down and try to tell them all this stuff, but at the end of the day, people really learn from what you do. They watch you, they watch how you conduct yourself, and they see your heart and your warmth and the fact that you care and that you're humble enough. Here it is, you're the student body president at Messiah University, and yet and still you're so humble that you are happy to sweep the church or to vacuum the church where you are. You don't need to be in the front, being seen by everybody with people clapping for you. You're willing to do the stuff that nobody sees, that's not glorious work, vacuuming the church, which shows your heart, which shows that you have the heart of Christ, because the heart of Christ is a servant's heart, where you want to serve, you want to help others, and that's just a blessing. I'm just so pleased, to hear your story, and and all of it matters, and all of it's important, and all of it is helpful to everybody listening, and to everybody listening and watching. Every bit of your story is helpful to them. We have some more time, because we're gonna take a break in a moment, and I want to ask you. I know that you recently went on a civil rights trip. One of your professors, who we've had as a guest in our show, takes students at Messiah University to the Deep South on a civil rights trip, and I understand you went on one.
Yes, sir. Yep. And got back tonight.
You just got back. Very good, very good. So after the break, I'm going to ask you about that trip and what it meant to you and what you learned.
Will do. Sounds good.
So stay with me. Well, wasn't I right about this young man? Tyree Cowan is learning what it means to live a surrendered life above his circumstances and because of God's grace. He's talking to us about his recent participation soon in a marvelous civil rights bus trip that left a deep impression on him. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're watching Joe Watkins' State of Independence on Lighthouse TV. Positively different. Share your comments about today's program in the comment box at joewatkins.org.
We're with Tyree Cowan. He's an accounting major. He's student body president, and he's also active in his church, the Rock Church in the city of Harrisburg. And as you can see, he loves people. Tyree, tell us more about this trip. You went to the Deep South. We had Professor Todd Allen as a guest on State of Independence, and he was talking about the civil rights trips that he does for students. Was it easy for you to feel like you were walking in the footsteps of history, or did it feel like a very distant past when you went?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I think there was a little bit of both. I think there was moments where I sat in it, where we talked with those civil rights leaders, the few that we could, and there was also moments where I felt like I was in a distant past, but also not a distant past of just that's in the past, but a distant past as far as this is what happened and what can we do now. And I kind of wanted to figure out what were those civil rights, what did they want to see in today's world and the black community or even the America in general, and trying to really see what should the future look like because of everything that they've been through and what they did. So yeah, I think there's only so much you can do. There's only so much footsteps you can walk into in those experiences, right? I think it's hard to truly appreciate what the civil rights leaders did amongst those times, but we can continue to learn and try to empathize in those moments of time. So.
Was there anybody that you studied that left a deep impression on you, like one particularly? I mean, everybody, of course, knows about the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but was there anybody, any of the leaders that particularly struck you, that made an impression on you?
Yeah, it was. I think we were in Mound Bayou, I believe, in TRM Howard, and I'm still wanted to do some research on him, but I just hear his story and what he did in Mound Bayou, creating this community of black businesses and ownership, and it was inspiring to see, because as we're driving in these areas, we're seeing Selma, Alabama, and Auburn and Albany. I'm sorry. All these different spaces, the communities aren't the greatest. The communities aren't the greatest, and it was that disconnect where if TRM Howard was able to create this this economic system, this black economic system. What would he want now? What would he expect for Mound Bayou to look like now? And it kind of and that hurt my heart a little bit, because I saw what was and now what is, and that's the disconnect of being historical, being in these historical sites, but also understanding that these historical sites is not. I believe, with my limited research, I would say TRM Howard didn't want this place to just be a historical site. I believe he would have wanted it to continue to prosper and grow. So that was one person that I still want to study and look into. And also Fred Shuttlesworth, I believe, as I spoke with his daughters and hearing the faith he had, whereas I believe his house was bombed 3 times and he continued to press in and continue to press forward. Something I want to look into his story a little bit more as well. So I'm learning, I'm growing. I don't know too much, but hearing these just inspired me to learn and grow more about what happened and what can I do as a young African American man to support the cause that they fought for even now.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to learn about what happened then, and then to figure out, like, how does that translate into now, Mm-hmm. And here it is, you're the student body president for all of Messiah University, for your whole school.
Yes, sir.
And so you've got kids of all different races that are looking up to you for leadership, and so it's a wonderful opportunity for you to be an example for all of them. Has it inspired you in any way to figure out? I mean, has it inspired you to think that as the student body leader, you want to do A, B, C, or D, or you want to inspire people to grow together and to love each other and to better understand other cultures? I mean, tell me if you have any thoughts like that.
Yeah, I think just being a Christian, I believe God calls us to reconcile, to be ministers of reconciliation, and I think it takes understanding. It takes understanding of what the black community came from. Being at just a predominantly white Christian university, where we have multicultural students that came from a background with that thought, being able to reconcile both of these thoughts and ideals of growing up, right? Where I don't blame the white community per se, the younger white community, where they may have just grown up in an environment that was what they were taught. They were built up like we were all built up in this mindset and this its area of thinking to view each other in certain ways. So, and as I was just thinking about it, we have to be able to sit in this tension and understand that the tension is where the change happens. So can we get together? Can we talk about these real things? I was on the tour with my vice president of diversity affairs, a white male Presbyterian church. And I spoke to him, and we're just talking. I'm wearing a do-rag, and I'm explaining to him, like, this is what a do-rag is for, right? Can we not act like these differences are not real? And let's talk about these differences so we have a better understanding, just as much as if I would have went to his home or to his place of stay and I would have been confused about how their life is. So I wanted to make sure that I made him feel comfortable with what was going on. And I could have sat in that room and we couldn't have talked about anything, but I decided to take that step and to share with him my experience so that he may not just look at me with, oh, this is how a black man is, and this perception that's based off of what the world perceives us as, but to know me, right? As you get to know me, I think that's where it starts at, looking at people as individuals. And as an individual, you would see that, yes, my name is Tyree Cowan, and I'm a black man, and I may have some traits that you may have preconceived before you met me, but I also have a lot more. I am a person as well, an individual. And I think that helps me step into those spaces of diverse backgrounds where I'm dealing with completely different cultures and completely different people. But at the end of the day, I want to know this person, the person that I'm sitting to and talking with, and the bias goes away because I care about you as a person. So.
Wonderful. Wonderfully said. Thanks so much for being with us, Tyree, this morning. It's been a blessing to have you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
I can't wait to see where God will be directing Tyree's steps in the years ahead. Protect that relationship with Jesus, Tyree. Don't walk a minute or a mile without him. I'll be back to wrap it up with our great producer, Jeff Coleman.
Joe Watkins' State of Independence is a production of Lighthouse TV, positively different.
So now let's talk to our great producer, Jeff Coleman.
This is one of those conversations that I think I'll be watching and rewatching for a number of reasons. Ty is humble. He is grounded in truth. It wasn't just a lot of hyperbolic kind of rhetorical, natural answers that somebody his age who knows some things might give. He was so clear about what he was still learning and what God was still doing. But then has a very clear understanding of what he has to know about the past so that his leadership, his family, doesn't repeat some mistakes of others. And I think he is, in terms of a role model, looking at somebody who is following Jesus with this kind of humility is so encouraging.
Yeah, and at such a young age, too.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no, and even seeing the way that he sees his role as student body president, as a unifier, as a reconciler, as he said. That was powerful.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Well, it's easy to look at a young person like Tyree and be encouraged, but you can also become discouraged that you're not living an exciting life like his. It's easy to do. The promise to someone, anyone who surrenders their life and days to Jesus, it doesn't matter if you're 95 or 9, he'll use everything you give him for his glory and our good. That's a promise. Tyree is living proof. When you have a minute, drop me a line in the comment box at joewatkins.org. Let me know how Tyree's story encouraged you. I'd so love to hear from you. From America's very first capital, Philadelphia, I'm Joe Watkins. For Jeff Coleman and the entire team behind the cameras at Lighthouse TV, thanks so much for watching. God's willing, I'll see you next time. Great story. It's neat to see somebody that young who is so filled with God's Spirit and so willing to go where God would send him.
And to think that this is a 5-year journey he's been on. Yeah. It's been a pretty short leap from cousin checking up to today.